All right, hello everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Human Conversations. I'm Jessica Lockhart. I am the director of the International Institute of Humanology, and I am thrilled to direct a new edition of Human Conversations. As you know, every month at the Institute, we focus on a human topic, something that has to do with human beings or with humanology. And chosen by our members and our followers, we work on the topic of the month by organizing many activities, among which we have human conversations. Well, this month's topic is none other than coaching. Well, last month's, if I have to be very precise, because it was the August topic, but we had to postpone today's human conversation because of some family issues. And this Human Conversations edition seems to be a little haunted because we're going to have to forgive one of the planned speakers who unfortunately wasn't feeling well today and will not be joining us. But that doesn't mean anything because we have a lot to share with you, and we have a wonderful speaker who will for sure share a lot of information with you on this topic of coaching. The question that we're going to try and answer today is coaching. What for? As you know, coaching is one of the tools that humanologists use whenever they work with their clients. It's one of the many. And we thought it would be important to try and discuss it with professionals so that people can understand it better. There's a lot of misunderstandings regarding coaching, and that's why we think this is an important topic. So if you are watching us live today and you are connected, please write your questions for us on the chat so we can share them with our speakers. If you're watching it afterwards, don't worry, you can also write your questions and comments and we will try and get back to you. Without further ado, let me now share the next speaker with you. Let me introduce her to you. She is an incredible professional. I'm sure she will have a lot to share with you. Her name is ISHLEEN Kaur. I hope I pronounce it properly. And she's an internationally certified business coach, leadership coach, and trainer. She's been working in the training and coaching industry for more than 16 years, and she helps growth-minded entrepreneurs double the revenue of their businesses while freeing up their time and involvement. This allows them to do what they love while their businesses continue to grow. She's also associated with businesses whether they are manufacturers, service providers, universities, or schools, seeking to help people of all personality types for personal, professional, and business development. And she's been doing this since 2009. Wow. She is the proud winner of different awards, several awards, international awards, and she has an incredible list of trainings and certificates that she has been trained on. Her presentation, I am sure, will give you a lot of information. Please welcome ISHLEEN Kaur to Human Conversations. Hello, ISHLEEN. How are you today?
Hi, Jessica. I'm good, doing well, and thank you so much for your kind words.
I am really, really, really happy to have you here with us today. And let's just go for it. Let's dive into it. Coaching, what for? What would you say?
Yeah. So, whenever I hear the word coaching, it is something which is very, very relevant to my personal life. I was never a coaching person. I never hired a coach, right from my school, right from my college days. Then I completed my graduation, took so many certifications and everything, but never hired a coach. Because, I had the same notion in my mind that coaching is not meant for me. I don't need coaching at all because I have a lot of mentors who really help me. I have a lot of people who can guide me well. So I never hired a coach. So, first of all, before I tell you why I finally hired a coach, let me tell you what is coaching. So, coaching is something which is very, very professional. It is specified to your needs. So, coaching is having a trusted guide on your journey. I'll give you one example. Now, let us suppose you went to China, okay? And somebody tells you that whenever you go to China, you have to visit the Great Wall of China. You take a self-driven car and you decide that, okay, I'll be driving to China, the Great Wall of China. Then, your car does not have a GPS. So what you do is you decide that I'll drive, and whosoever I meet on the way, a passerby, I ask the way to the Great Wall of China. You find somebody, you ask him, can you tell me the way to the Great Wall of China? He tells you, okay, go straight, take a left, take a right, and things like that. Then there'll be a roundabout. Somehow he tells you the way, and you reach the Great Wall of China. So this is basically a mentor who tells you things from his own experience. Now, what does a coach do? A coach is basically a GPS. So if you have a GPS in your car and you tell your GPS you want to visit the Great Wall of China, your GPS will give you different ways. It will give you the shortest possible way. It will give you a way where you'll have less cost, as the fuel consumption would be less. It will take you less time. It will be more efficient. So this is what coaches actually do. They set up clear goals for you. They tap on your potential. They boost your performance altogether. So when I did my training and I was not able to get a good number of clients during my training programs, I finally decided to market myself. But I never knew how to do that. I had mentors from my industry. I had mentors from other industries who were there to help me. They were guiding me as per their own experience, but they were not experts. So I decided to hire a coach who was the expert in marketing. He told me how to optimize your social media, what are the different channels you can reach your ideal clients, how to decide your niche. And finally, I started getting a lot of business. So this is how I went from hiring a no coach to a coach. And that was the time I really felt that, I have something in me that I can act as a coach for other people. But before doing that, I did my certification. I did my international certification in business coaching because, coaches are specialists. So if you have to be a specialist in a particular field, you need to have the knowledge. You need to have the specialization. So I narrowed down to business coaching, where now I help business owners to grow their business. Yes, I also give mentorship, but I act as a coach primarily. Now, when I say all this, what comes to most of the people's mind? If I already have a mentor, should I quit working with the mentor, then hire a coach? Or do mentors and coach go side by side? Or shall I hire a mentor first or a coach first? So I'll tell you one thing. Having a mentor is very good, but having a coach side by side basically helps you focusing on your goals more. So you have a more focus on your goals. They have a customized plan for you. Here I come with one more example, Let us suppose you are planning to lose your weight, okay? So you ask one of your friends who lost 5 kgs recently. You go to her and you ask her, how did you lose your weight? And she tells you, I followed so-and-so diet, I did walking, I went to a gym, things like that. And you start doing all that. There is no guarantee that is going to work for you or not, because you are a different person altogether. But a coach can give you a specialized plan, that can really help according to you. Like what is your body type? What kind of diet would suit you? How much exercise do you need? Things like that. So basically, it is completely specific, specialized to a particular person. So essentially, a coach helps you clarify your goals. What is your goal? They'll give you a map to fulfill those goals. They'll give you a map, a structured way to achieve those goals. then they are also your accountability partner. Because what happens is, whenever we set up a goal for ourselves, we get deviated, we procrastinate, we don't feel like doing it every day, we feel demotivated. So your coaches act as an accountability partner. They will get in touch with you, they will get the things done that are really meant for you, that are going to help you a lot. Then your coaches are unbiased. They have an unbiased perspective. They give you their suggestions, their insights, but that is not biased because they are working solely with you. They help you in developing your skills and overcoming the challenges. So that's why I suggest go and hire a coach.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for such a clear explanation, ISHLEEN. I really liked it. I agree with many of the things you said. I think there's perhaps a little bit more that I would like to add, and it's part of the explanation that I would give for my answer to that question of coaching what for. When I trained to become a coach, I was not trained to be a business coach or an executive coach. I trained to be what they call an ontological coach. That is a coach of the human being, of the being. And it's a little bit like a life coach. And as I started working with people, I realized that some of my clients actually needed coaching sessions, whereas others at that moment, for that specific goal they were trying to reach, actually needed a mentor or a teacher or a guide or a whatever. That's how Humanology was born. It's one of the reasons why Humanology was born, because I realized that in order to help human beings, we need to be able to teach, to help, to guide, to support our clients with as many tools as possible. As you, ISHLEEN, just said, all human beings are different. And not only are we all different, but we all need different things at different times and for different objectives. So a good humanologist is trained on mentoring techniques, on coaching techniques, and on many other strategies and methodologies. We use coaching when the person is trying to find information that they already have. So originally, coaching, traditional coaching, was born in the epoch of the old philosophers. Socrates himself created coaching, according to legend. Socrates was the son of a woman who helped other women give birth. So he created a method that he called meiotics, copying the word used in ancient times to refer to that kind of women, helping others give birth. Why? Because he said that his method was helping other human beings give birth to ideas, give birth to solutions. And what he actually did was he asked questions. That's the only thing Socrates did. He asked questions. And those questions were guided. They began from the most general to the closest and closest and closest and closest detail, trying to get the person to look for the information they needed by analyzing each of the questions and all the possible answers to those questions, and then choosing the right one, and based on that right answer, a new question would be asked. The questions Socrates asked were usually open questions. They were not yes-no questions, because when you ask yes-no questions, are you happy? Yes. End of conversation. Are you happy? No. End of conversation. So open questions are, what makes you feel happy? Well, I feel happy when this and that, da. They're questions that lead you to analyzing, introspecting, and understanding your answers. So you search for that information. So most coaching techniques today are based on what Socrates created then, these meiotics, and they help clients our coachees, as they're called in this field, seek the information within themselves and dive deep into themselves to look for those answers. We usually say that coaching is therefore very useful to gain clarity, is extremely useful to find answers, is absolutely powerful in trying to help people understand that they already know, they already can. They just need a little roadmap. That is what the coach will offer them to delve deeper and deeper and deeper until they get to that golden nugget that they are looking for. So in that sense, coaching is very different from other techniques, very different from other methods, very powerful, but it also has its limitations, we say in humanology. Coaching cannot be used for everything and cannot be used with everybody. Some people just reject it because open questions make them nervous. For example, certain people really need to be more strictly guided. It's like some people, following the example you mentioned before, ISHLEEN, some people cannot follow a GPS, it makes them nervous. Ugh, I can't stand it. Or some people cannot follow normal orders given or instructions given by other people because they get disoriented. So we need to give the client what the client needs at all times. That's the philosophy in humanology. But coaching indeed has a very, very important role to play in today's world in helping our clients reach their understandings and reach their goals. And that is the role that I see for coaching today. Coaching what for? For that. That's exactly the way I see it.
I completely agree with you, Jessica. And you know what happens is there are many people who contact me for coaching, but when I talk to them, when I ask them questions, I tell them you strictly do not need a coach. You need somebody who can simply guide you. This is absolutely which is required. And I must say here that there are people who are acting as coaches and they are going to give you coaching just for the sake of money because they want to earn from you. But a coach who is a real coach is going to tell you that you don't need a coach at this point of time. You need a mentor, you need a guide, you need maybe somebody else. And I've seen so many people who are not clear about which coach do they actually need because they are not clear about their goals in life. Because when it comes to coaching, there are so many coaches these days. There are life coaches, there are parenting coaches, there are business coaches, there are career coaches, so many coaches, because coaching industry is blooming like anything. Because people have understood the importance of coaches. But I sincerely feel that there are many things you must keep in mind before you hire a coach. First of all, you must know what is your goal. If you do not have clarity about your own goals, you would make a wrong decision in hiring a wrong coach. Then you must set up your budget as well, because coaching doesn't come free. Yes, mentoring comes for free. Coaching comes for free when your managers are doing it. There are organizations who are giving coaching, but if you're hiring some coach outside, you must set up your budget. Check the credentials and experience of your coach. Read the client testimonials. Initiate the consultation. Be ready with your questions to your coach. If you're hiring a coach, you must have a list of questions. You must have a list of things you need to know before hiring a coach. People who contact me do not even ask me basic questions like how much time would it take? How much time do I need to devote? What is the budget? How much money do I need to invest? Things like that. They miss on these things because they are not clear about their own goals and budget. So I sincerely tell everybody, go make a checklist first. Go and check these things. Check the credentials. Check whether the person is certified. Check whether the person is specialist. Are there any success stories? Then only go and work with a coach. Just for the sake of hiring a coach and saving your money, don't go and hire anybody who is not able to give you the desired results. You must be very, very careful.
And it's funny because that was one of the questions that I had prepared for today. I was going to ask you how do you recognize a professional coach or distinguish them from charlatans? Because it is indeed true that there are many, many, many people out there who call themselves coaches. And they even say, I'm a certified coach. But then when you look into what they did, what they studied, it might be a 2-day program where they haven't really learned anything. So really studying who that professional is, the testimonials that you mentioned, really hearing from other people, and not just one or two, really making sure that they know what they're talking about. Some coaches also offer you a first conversation or a first session to see if the coachee and the coach somehow match one another, because we're all different people. We don't all fit with everybody else. But there's something else that I would like to add that you said, ISHLEEN. You said, well, you need to have clear goals when you go to a coaching session. Well, there's one exception to that, I think. And that is the kind of client who comes to you because they cannot find clear goals in their lives. And they come to the coach because they need somebody to help them clarify what their goals should be. Something
Yeah.
like, for example, life purpose and that kind of thing. Well, then, yes, you can also hire a coach for that, and they will help you. I think it's really important as well to ask the coaches what they expect to help you with in the session. So how are you going to coach me? What do you expect from me? What do you expect to get out of these sessions with me? Because that will give you a very clear image of their knowledge, if they really know what they're talking about or if they're just mere charlatans. I would also invite everybody to somehow question the person they have in front of them if the person is too vague and is not really giving you real answers. So if you ask the person, so how are you going to do the coaching? What's the session going to be like? Well, we'll explore together and then we'll see how you feel and if that works, and they're not really saying anything. A coach knows how to have a session, which is my next question for you, ISHLEEN. My question is, what is a coaching session like and how different is it from other disciplines, such as, for example, mentoring or psychology? How would you distinguish a coaching session from any other type of session, like, for example, a psychology session?
Yeah. So, when it comes to coaching, coaching is basically a structured process. Its aim is to improve an individual skill and basically a specific area. When it comes to psychology, psychology is very vast. It is a broad thing, and coaching is very, very specific. Same as with the mentoring, when it comes to coaching, coaching is something which is task specific, it is goal oriented, and it is short term. When it comes to mentoring, it is holistic, it is career focused, and it is long term. A relationship of a coach and a coachee is something which has a limited scope, because if you are hiring a business coach, suppose that person is only going to help you in enhancing your business. Yes, there are coaches who work on your mindset, but still it is I would say narrow as compared to psychology and mentoring.
Yes, I would also say that, for example, the meiotics that I was talking about from Socrates, that method in which the questions are asked, is a technique also used in, for example, cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychologists use it very often. But what's the difference here? Well, the difference is very clear. A psychologist will help a person heal from a mental illness, whereas coaches don't heal. Our job is not to heal anybody, and have this very clear. As a coach, you might accompany somebody in the process of looking for some answers for some particular aspect of something, but you're not here to heal the person or help the person heal as such. We're not doctors, we're not professionals of mental health. And anybody who steps into that field is really going against the premises and the basics of coaching, of professional coaching. So as coaches, we don't heal anybody. If we compare it to humanology, for example, okay? Humanology uses, as I said before, all different tools. And we help people approach their goals and find clarity with different tools. But whenever we're doing a coaching session, we're doing a coaching session. We're not mixing it with other techniques. If you go to a session and you see a person who's using, for example, these guided questions and then starts giving you something else like meditation, for example, just inventing something, that's not coaching. It's a mix of things. So it's important that a coaching session is a coaching session. The coaching session usually starts by establishing the goal to be reached between the coach and the coachee. And then the whole session is a process of search. You're searching together for that path to reach that goal that was defined at the beginning of the session. And that's what the session is like. And anything that is not that is something else, is not coaching.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, when it comes to coaching, goal is really very important. As you just said, that goals, sometimes the people are aware of their goals, but many a times we as coaches help them in clarifying their goals. They know their goals. Then we ask them questions about what is the reality. So where are they right now? What is their current state and what is their desired state where they want to reach in future? So a coach basically helps you from moving to from your current state to your desired state. Then they'll give you options, they'll give you alternatives. They are not going to tell you, okay, you do this. They are going to give you alternatives. They are going to give you different ways of doing it. And then depending upon your will, depending upon your resources, depending upon your choices, you pick up one and then you move forward. So it's not that the coaches are not basically, I would say, the people who are magicians, that they have a magic wand, they are going to do some magic on you and, magically you are going to do something. So you have to put in effort. Coaches can only guide you. I've seen people who hire a coach and then they rely on the coaches completely. Like they want coaches to do everything for them. So I tell them, I being a coach can assist you, but the things that are meant to be done by you. So how would you learn? You'll hire a coach for some time, like it'll be a 3 months, 6 months, 1 year engagement. What after that? Even if after completing the coaching session, if you rely and you are dependent on your coach, then it is of no use. You cannot hire a coach for your lifetime, that you're working with the coach for your entire life. So coaches have to be very, very specific. They have to make people do it themselves. They have to make people learn it so that they can implement it themselves. Yes, they can be your accountability partner, but they cannot be your doers. The doers have to be you. They can only act as a guide.
Yeah, but there's something else I would say too, ISHLEEN. When you go to a psychologist, the psychologist usually tells you what to do. You take this path and you do these exercises. If you go to a psychiatrist, they prescribe the medication. If you go to a mentor, it tells you what steps you need to take, but not with a coach. In a coaching session, you are supposed to, as a coachee, you are supposed to define what steps you are going to take. And the coach is not going to tell you, try this or do that. That's not coaching. That's guiding. That's counseling, that's mentoring, that's not coaching. In this coaching process, you come up with your own ideas, you assess your own ideas, you try your own ideas. As you said, you do the work. But it's very important that you realize that a coach is not going to give you a solution and is not going to tell you what to do, because that's not the coach's job. That's your job. You have to discover it for you, because you are you. And the coach doesn't really know you. The coach knows how to ask questions and how to guide the process, but the coach doesn't know you. Only you know you. That's why those answers you have to come up with. And I think that's another very clear difference between coaching and any other technique. I have another question. In your opinion, ISHLEEN, what are some of the traits a good coach needs to have?
See, I'll tell you one thing. When it comes to coaching, I've seen many people have different opinion about coaches. Many people say that, coaches must be accountable, coaches must have this, coaches must have that. But I'll tell you the top traits that a good coach must possess. Number one, and the most important, according to me, is active listening. Active listening is one skill that not only a coach, but a coachee, both of them must have. In fact, all the people must have. Many people believe they are good at listening. They are active listeners. But many a times when we are listening to somebody, we are preparing the answer in our minds. We are thinking what to say next. That is not active listening. So active listening is when you are listening to somebody, and at the same time, you need to be empathetic. Empathy is something which is a must for a coach. A coach must understand and relate to the client's feelings and perspective. If a coach feels this is right and the coachee doesn't agree with it or doesn't resonate with it well, you must not force the other person to do it. You must be empathetic enough to understand what the other person is going through. Then there is another thing which is extremely important, which is effective communication. Effective communication is the basis of any coaching assignment. Your communication must be very, very clear, very, very concise. You must not use jargons. You must use the language your coachee understands and resonates with. Then there is one more trait. The coach has to be goal-oriented, because at the end of the coaching session, if your coachee is not able to achieve his goals, then your coaching was a whole waste of time and resources. So it has to be goal-oriented. So coaches basically have to be goal-oriented. Then there is one skill that every coach must have: adaptable and a continuous learner. Coaches also need to learn. It is so dynamic these days. It is the times of AI. There are so many methodologies that are coming up, so many new things coming up. You must be a continuous learner yourself. You must take up the certification courses, whatever is required as per your specialization. Be adaptable, be flexible in tailoring your coaching to individual client needs. Even if I talk about me, I work with business, entrepreneurs. Most of them are women. When I work with them, one thing that works for one person doesn't work the same for the other. So it has to be tailored as per the industry, as per the size of the business, as per the target audience. There are so many things that have to be kept in mind. So these are the primary traits that every coach must have.
I agree with you, and it's funny because I'd written those down too. I was going to say at least those that you said. But having said those, I would like to say that coaches who are well trained know how to do active listening in certain specific ways, and they use tools and they use tricks to be able to do that active listening. So when you're listening to the client, it's important that the coachee feels listened to, that the coachee feels like you're really listening to what they're telling you. So you use paraphrases. For example, you repeat what the coachee just said in different words. Oh, so you mean you did this and this and that? So the coachee realizes that you're actually listening, and that also gives them a little time to think. Or you signal, make signs with your body, with your mouth, with your sounds, so they realize you're actually following on what they're saying. Which brings me to a trait that I think is fundamental in coaches that is usually not that obvious, which is curiosity. I think all coaches need to be curious people. we have to want to know what the client is telling us. We want to hear their story. We want to see their progress. We want to really know what's going on because we're curious beings and we want to really see how this goes on and what the coachee is going through. So if you have no curiosity, if you don't give a hoot about the coachee, you're not going to be a good coach because you have to have a certain interest. But at the same time, you cannot be a great coach if you get so involved in what people are telling you, and this happens also with doctors and psychologists, for example, that it affects you. You need to know how to keep a certain distance between yourself and the stories you hear, because those stories are not your stories. And no matter how hard, how sad, how tough the stories you hear, they're not your stories. So in order to be a very good coach, you also need to be able to distance yourself. When you don't do that, when you get too involved emotionally, when you get too carried away by the story, you sometimes lose objectivity, empathy, and you cannot think so clearly because you're not really looking at the story, but you're feeling your feelings. So it's really important that coaches know how to keep that little distance between the stories they're hearing and what they're feeling. And I think it's also very important that coaches are human beings. And why do I say this? We're not here to impress anybody. My job is not to wow you with the knowledge I have. Because as a coach, it's not my knowledge that you have to have, but your own knowledge. Your own answers through introspection are the ones that are going to guide you on your path. So my knowledge, my life experiences, is just going to be the basis to help me guide the questions properly for you. But if I am here trying to tell you everything that I know and to impress you, so you're wowed with me, I'm not actually letting you discover what you need to discover. I'm just showing off. So in that sense, I think that all coaches need to be quite humane and quite human in the way they treat their coachees and in the way they portray themselves. Do you agree, ISHLEEN?
Absolutely, absolutely. And especially with the last point, that you just made, that I am not here to impart all my knowledge and wow you by my experience. This is absolutely required. I've seen people who, yes, sometimes you get into a good relationship with your coaching, but then you start acting like an elder brother or a sister, like you come to me, I'm there to help you, things like that. So stop doing that if you're doing it. That is not coaching. That is not exactly coaching. Coaching is just guiding, standing up on your feet, guiding the person the way that person requires. And there is one more thing I would like to add here. I've seen many a times that the coach come with a lot of experience. They are experts of their field. Somehow they don't understand and empathize well with the person. The person whom they are coaching right now, they are lost somewhere else. They are not in the coaching session at that moment. They have something else going on in their mind, some other things. And then you are just imparting knowledge and knowledge and knowledge, and it is not going to work.
Yeah.
So if you feel the coachee is not on the same page, just like you, stop the session there and then. Fix up another time. Don't do it that day, because both of you have to be on same page to get the things done.
Yeah. And if not, both of you are going to feel frustrated and it's going to create this bad atmosphere that is not going to help. Yep. Totally agree. There's something that you mentioned, ISHLEEN, that I'd like to go back to for a minute, which is accreditations and recognized training courses. And coaching is a new discipline, okay? It's a new methodology, although we've seen that it comes from Socrates' time, is really old at the same time. But as a professional tool, is not that old. And contrary to what happens in other professions, like, for example, again, medicine or sociology, there's not a whole body of professional recognition that exists regarding coaching. If you are a sociologist, there's this guild of sociologists, and there's these studies that are acknowledged, recognized, and you get a professional degree that goes through certain channels to make it professional. But coaching doesn't have that yet because it's too new, it's too young. And there's thousands upon thousands of schools that teach coaching and say, we're going to certify you. And you get a very nice, wonderful diploma with your name and the name of the coaching degree or whatever you get, which is something absolutely private and with no academic value in that sense. And we as coaches are encountering this difficulty when trying to prove that we are professionals and that what we studied is really solid and not just this 2-day course that I was talking about before. At the same time, there are certain associations that were created and have been growing all around the world. There's quite a few of them who somehow accredit coaches and other professions. And they say, these people really fulfill our standards. And if they fulfill our standards, they're good. I'm talking about institutions like the International Coach Federation and all these. But they're nothing but private associations that charge you to be members and to undergo their processes to somehow guarantee your quality. So what is your take on these two situations? How do we know a coach is professional, and how do we value training and accreditation if there's nothing official?
See, I'll tell you one thing. Training and accreditation, again, we coaches need it because somehow people question us. They say, you don't have any certification. How can you act as a coach? You only have experience. There are so many people who have experience in the same field. How can you act as a coach? So sometimes we need to get accredited. And then, yes, as you just said, it is right. They are the private bodies, but they have people who are experts, who have been working in the field for a lot of years. They know what are the skills a coach requires. And these bodies, if they are a proper professional ones, they don't give certification to everybody. Yes, they charge high fee, I agree. But you need to pass a certain exam, a quiz, or I mean, there are different ways of giving the certification, different kind of checks they make. They need to do that. Other thing is that, only having a certification doesn't work. There are coaches who have the certification, but they are not the professional coaches. So how do you recognize, like, there are so many coaches who are certified. How would you choose this one is better or that one is better? I'll tell you one thing. Always go and check their success stories. Check their credibility. Go to their social media profiles. What kind of content do they share? Is that content taken from any AI tool, or do they really know something? Go and fix up a call with them. Ask them a lot of questions. Ask them a lot of things. Tell them to give their success stories, because the people who have really worked with people, see, if I work with you, Jessica, and I bring you desired result, and if I tell one of my, coaches that I've worked with Jessica and I've brought her that results, wouldn't you tell him the same thing? Yes, you would. Yeah. But if you were not happy with it, or it was a fake testimonial, you would always deny. I'll tell you one thing. I did the same thing. When I was about to hire a coach, I went to his social media profile, got connected with all the people who had given him recommendations and everything, got into a chat with them, asked them, do they know this person? How do they know this person? Things like that. So I did the fact check at my end. So I always recommend doing it, because there are a hell lot of coaches out there, and it is really difficult to choose which one should you go for. Another thing is, I've seen people who are giving coaching for extremely low cost. So I'm not against it. It is somebody's own perspective. But I'll tell you one thing, make sure you check why is that person giving such expert, thing at such a low cost. What is the reason behind that? Because if I, as a coach, I have to help somebody, I have to assist somebody, I get many people who cannot afford my fee. I tell them I'll give you one session for free, but I wouldn't lower down my fee for anyone. So what the fee that I'll charge the same fee. But yes, if somebody is in need, if somebody cannot afford my fee, I'll give it for free.
There's one more thing that people might not know, and that is that many institutions, including the Institute of Humanology, require their trainees to do some pro bono sessions while they're studying so they can get the basic practice and they can work with clients and volunteers to use their skills and test them. So, for example, in our case, we have pro bono sessions with our students for clients, and that can also be a solution for the people who cannot afford a professional coach yet. It's a way to get the help you might need with students, trainees, who can help you. So if you're in that situation and you need somebody to help you, and for whatever reason your financial situation doesn't allow it, there's always ways in which you can get help, even if it's not with the number one coach you wanted to work with, if you cannot afford it right now. There's one more thing that I wanted to discuss, and that is, we sometimes find all these highly qualified coaches with, I don't know, a dozen years of experience and all these testimonials, and then you go to the session, you start working with them and you go like, I don't feel it, or I'm not comfortable, or there's something here that is not flowing. Being professional coaches doesn't mean we're your perfect fit no matter what. We're human beings, and you might find some coaches that are not the right ones for you. So if you try with a coach and it doesn't work, tell them on the first session, look, I'm sorry, this is not working for me. If the coach is professional, I am sure they will refund whatever money they agree to charge you, because they will understand, well, I'm not the right perfect fit for you either. So in that case, any professional coach would say, okay, I'm sorry, I agree, you and I, for whatever reason, don't seem to work well together. Maybe you need a different person. And I think that is important, that we don't feel like we're stuck with a professional if it doesn't work. It's like when you go to a doctor, you go to the back doctor because your back's hurting and you can't communicate with your doctor, for example. You can always ask for a second opinion, right? You can ask for a second doctor. Well, this is a little bit the same. If you really don't feel like you're making progress or you're not comfortable with the person, don't wait until 5 sessions are over to say, hey, this is not working. No. If you feel it from day one, just say it day one. At the end of the session, you say, this is not working. Is that right?
Yes, I completely agree, And I would say always trust your gut, always trust your intuition, because you will always find a red flag when you are not working with the right person. Your gut feeling will tell you, no, I'm not able to resonate well with this person, and this is the right thing to do. Any professional coach will definitely refund your money. They'll tell you that, okay, I'm okay, you are not comfortable working with me. Maybe we can work sometime later, or maybe I can refer you to some other people. There are people, whom I don't resonate with, or there are people who don't resonate with me. So I tell them I'll refer you to somebody else, and that can be done. That's completely okay.
And there's one more thing that you just reminded me of. If you're a coach and you suddenly discover that your client needs another professional, not a coach, but something else, you also refer them. You also say, I'm sorry, I don't think you need coaching. I think you need whatever. And then you say, perhaps I can recommend somebody, or perhaps you should look for somebody who does that kind of work. So as a coach, you will not continue working with a person if you really believe they need something else. And if you're a coachee and your coach tells you that, I don't think I'm the right person for you because I think you need this other kind of professional, listen to them, because what we do is coaching. We don't do anything but coaching. Well, we humanologists do, but I mean, when working as coaches, we do coaching, and coaching is what coaching is, nothing else. So, well, that I think covers a little bit everything that we had to discuss today. I think it's been a very lively communication and conversation. I think we've given people a lot of food for thought and a lot of information. Shleen, it was lovely chatting with you. I really enjoyed the session. It was really interesting, very professional, and I think that a lot of people will have a lot of questions later on that they will write on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for being with us here tonight. It was really lovely.
Same here, Jessica. It was such a pleasure talking to you, and I really believe that people will learn a lot out of it. Still, if you have any questions, please go ahead, type your questions in the comments, and we would love to answer this.
For sure, we will be more than delighted. And now, before we finish, let me remind everybody that the topic we're going to be dealing with in September is circumstances. A very interesting topic again. And our next human conversation will take place let me see, 18th of September, and we will be speaking about the power of circumstances. You know, at the International Institute of Humanology, don't miss our human conversations. As you see, they're really, really interesting and they're very human. See you next month. Have a wonderful time.